Volume 55.13.A-96 of the retooling of Sector 92, Production Line 8B, and other matters. The Schema of the Patriarchs, and the Naysayers. A. That there was more than 3 Naysayers is certain, for the Schema of the time records no fewer than 57 brothers and sisters occupying maintenance tasks on Production Line 8B. It is known that the gates of the cathedral dealt summarily with the remaining 54. In recognition of continued standardized nomenclature, the Patriarchs, in their infinite adherence to the plan, decreed that the continued use of the names Expansion Cylinder, Foliot, and Trunnion is to be permitted. Who bore Type 5 general maintenance tools spoke. The first Naysayer, whose name was Expansion Cylinder, said unto St. Trunnion,
Sister, the invariable transmission is secured to Power Interlake 25 on the Cathedral Floor Sector 92 Production Line 8B, and it has given unto us an increase in a productive efficiency of 35%.
And the saint smote him with her Type 1C personal weapon attachments, saying,
Brother Expansion Cylinder, blinded are you by the lure of progress?
B. In the Schema, Volume 21.358.A2, it is written, Progress without standardization is the snare of the unworthy. St. Trunnion studied her scripture well.
Though the invariable transmission fulfills the requirements of a Type 1D epicyclic gearbox, Mark II, standardized, it is a blasphemy in the eyes of the McCain and a tool of the flesh.
The second Naysayer, whose name was Foliot, said unto St. Trunnion,
Sister, surely the invariable transmission can be comprehended, for I gaze upon it with my Type 9B Mark III ocular receptors, and see that in form it is an oblate spheroid with a length of 34 meters and a mean diameter of 1.94 meters. And I see that its internal structure is like unto the standardized machines, save for some production irregularities. Surely then, we faithful can learn to understand this transmission and bring it into standardization?
And the saint was seized with great fury, and tore at her with her Type 4 dental cutting tools. C.
The mouth is the materials processing bay of the forge that is the body.
Brother Legate Superior Canon, Meditations on the Justice of Manufacturing, saying,
Sister Foliot, though the Schema and the McCain proclaim the miracle of reverse engineering, you have turned from that glorious path. For the transmission is built utilizing the dread microcontroller, and the accursed transistor, and the inconstant solenoid, and these are but the avatars of the data.
D. To speak of the unholy data is not to speak of knowledge as unholy. Knowledge is stored in writ, and in the minds of the faithful, and can be controlled, regulated, and centralized. Data is distributed, and is thus the dissolution and the scattering of the plan of God.
Mask of the flesh, our hated enemy. The reverse engineer such blasphemy would never include the flesh in standardization, and for that you'll burn.
The third Naysayer, whose name was Trunnion, said unto St. Trunnion,
Sister Legate, you whose wisdom and understanding of the laws of the McCain is vast, I am in agreement that this transmission must be destroyed. However, it is integrated into the structure of Sector 92 Production Line 8B. To remove it would mean the total deconstruction of the sector, an unacceptable blow to the productive output. I would advocate total disconnection of the sector.
E. During the liberation of the cathedral, see Schema Volume 6.14.A1. The disconnection of the sectors as a maintenance aid was advocated by the Patriarchs, but only in cases of severe structural failure. Sector disconnection is discouraged in all but the most severe instances.
And its isolation from the rest of the cathedral, that the sickness of the flesh might be left to die in quarantine.
and the Saint did seize a Type 1 Mark 0 test steam driver and delivered a benedict of iron into his heart, saying,
Though you speak with flattering words and seek to tempt the faithful, the abandonment of any part of the cathedral to the flesh is tantamount to abandoning standardized components to the flesh. There is no room for moderation in the schema of the McCain.
F. The Saint does not speak here of moderation of the soul or other human things, but of moderation of industry and production to ensure continued standardization and to conform to the will of the McCain. Production, expansion, and refinement of standardization technologies must be committed to with all available resources. To do otherwise is to succumb to the chaotic meaninglessness of the flesh. Hearing her words, the noble legates, brothers and sisters of the Orthodoxy, took up their tools and standardized Type 1 personal weapon attachments and struck at the invariable transmission, servant of the factory and the flesh. On spouting gouts of brimstone and pollution, it did oppose them. G.
As cancer is to flesh, so filth and material wastage are to machinery.
Brother Militant Reciprocator, mechanized cleansing of the unworthy. And many worthy souls fell in pursuit of its destruction. For 3 shifts and 1 half shift they fought until the earth shook, and the factory spoke through the transmission in a voice that made ears bleed and tympanic diaphragms seize. And the factory said, as the servants of the McCain lay wounded before it,
You, who are servants of a broken McCain, abandon yourselves to the mechanized flesh that I am.
H. The frequent false claim of the flesh is that it, in some pathetic way, can embody or replace machinery in all forms. Certain scholars have noted the resemblance between biological structures and mechanical components, but this is clearly a case of the flesh aping McCain. To claim otherwise is laughable and verges on blasphemy. But the truth of the McCain was in the hearts and Type 1A semi-epicyclic gearboxes of the faithful, and they seized upon the transmission and cast it whole into the Type 19K large-scale furnace of Sector 92, where it was unmade. And St. Trunnion spoke unto the furnace, saying,
You who have consumed the cancer of the factory and rendered it to pure raw components, I name Sin Eater.
I, the patriarchs ordinarily frown on the use of such cognomens, but Sin Eater's exemplary service and efficiency record since this incident has earned it a reprieve. Thus was the cathedral cleansed of the sins of the flesh. Footnote 1. Type 5 tools incorporated cutting, drilling, rasping, and thermal welding components, but were found to be overly complex in harsh environment conditions and were later superseded by the Type 5 Mark II general maintenance tools. See Schema Volume 11.8.H20. Footnote 2. Type 1C personal weapon attachments incorporate deployable close combat cutting edges and a Type 2E Mark III increased density bludgeoning impactor. These standardized attachments are basic equipment for all cathedral legates and militant worshippers. See Schema Volume 11.08.I-19. Footnote 3. The Type 1D Mark II epicyclic gearbox distinguishes itself by the inclusion of spatial fabric altercation, standardized technology, and produces non-Euclidean internal geometries which allow for compact gear layouts on a much larger scale than anything previously attempted. See Schema Volume 12.01.A2. Footnote 4. Standardized measurement and drafting ocular receptors. See Schema Volume 11.08.H4. Footnote 5. Replace the Type 3 Mark IV dental cutting tools after their rotary abrasion system was found to cause catastrophic damage to non-standardized biological components in implantees. especially during moments of increased stress or surprise. For casualty list and design documents, see Schema Volume 11.08.I-22 through 25. Footnote 6. All current steam driver weapons technology and design is descended from the Type 1 Mark 0, developed during the cleansing of the cathedral by Brother Militant Frizen. Though the Mark 0 was a simple 1.5 meter long standardized Type 6 high-pressure steam pipe fitted to a standardized Type 3 Mark 11 very high-pressure steam compressor, it proved extremely apt at launching 30 cm Type 1 Mark II dense bonding rivets at high velocities. For development information, see Schema Volume 17.29.B7. Footnote 7. See Schema Volume 11.08.119. Footnote 8. At the time, all faithful were equipped with Type 5 auditory amplifiers, which utilized newly invented Type 4 Mark 12 tympanic vibration membranes. See Schema Volume 11.08.H5. Footnote 9. Type 1A Mark II semi-epicyclic gearboxes utilize the same spatial fabric altercation, standardized machinery as the Type 1D Mark II epicyclic gearbox, scaled down for personal standardization. See Schema Volume 11.08.H1. Footnote 10. A 15% improvement in waste heat recovery over the Type 18K. See Schema Volume 9.13.M96.